Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Looking at old medicine master Danfu and the other light alchemists kneeling on the ground, Lin Yu couldn't help but sigh. Being the Lord of Holy Light has its advantages. He can easily transfer 100 alchemists from the Holy Light Church. Among these alchemists, the lowest level is a high-level alchemist, with over a dozen master-level alchemists and Danfu, who is a grandmaster-level alchemist. This lineup is much better than the luxurious blacksmiths in the blacksmith workshop. So far, the blacksmith workshop only has 5 high-level blacksmiths. Among them, 2 are dark elves, 1 is a goblin, and 2 are forest trolls. There isn't even a master-level blacksmith, let alone a grandmaster-level blacksmith. Unfortunately, Lin Yu doesn't have any potion blueprints. He can only let these alchemists prepare the potions themselves. There is a big difference between preparing potions on their own and using potion blueprints. The former requires specific magic herbs and has the possibility of failure. The latter only requires putting magic herbs of the same level into the potion furnace, regardless of the type of magic herb, and then various potions can be obtained. Although it seems incredible and illogical, this is the rule of the floating island. Lin Yu said to old medicine master Danfu in the group of light alchemists, "Later, I will upgrade the Alchemist Manor to a high-level building, and you will work there in the future. Before I obtain the potion blueprints, you can use the existing magic herbs in the warehouse to prepare potions. It's best to prepare potions of medium to low levels." Lin Yu wants to use these potions to collect more gold coins from the pockets of professionals. They can't afford potions of higher levels. After hearing Lin Yu's words, although the light alchemists present were full of confusion, they still respectfully obeyed. This is an oracle from the Lord of Holy Light. They must obey. No need to ask so many questions. Immediately, under the respectful and fanatical gaze of the group of light alchemists, Lin Yu miraculously upgraded the Alchemist Manor, which was still at a low level, to a high level. The high-level Alchemist Manor has a larger area and a more magnificent appearance. It also comes with 50 to 100 standard alchemists. Go work hard. I am with you. Praise you, great Lord of Holy Light. The group of light alchemists became excited. As long as they thought that the Supreme Creator was always watching and favoring them, they were full of enthusiasm, as if they had taken stimulants. Then, Lin Yu went to the clinic. After receiving the excited kneeling ceremony from 100 light priests, he also upgraded the clinic to a high level. Compared to the alchemists and blacksmiths, the work of these light priests is simple. They don't need to consume any materials. Their daily work is to heal the injured troops in the territory. It is worth mentioning that among these 100 light priests, 5 have reached the saint rank, and the rest are all transcendent level. And their lowest rank is devout believer, with some even being fanatic believers. From this, it can be seen that the Holy Light Church has made great efforts to please him, the Lord of Holy Light, without any negligence. After dealing with the matters of the Alchemist Manor and the clinic, Lin Yu prepared to return to the Hall of the Overlord. But at this moment, a message from the myriad world's floating island suddenly appeared in his mind. "Congratulations, Lin Yu Overlord. The black bone blood vine you planted has matured, unlocking the ability to sign a master-servant contract." Lin Yu was instantly delighted. No matter what, the black bone blood vine is the first demonic plant he planted. In the first few days, he often went to see it and chat with it. Although he rarely visits recently, there is still some emotional connection. In addition, after 2 evolutions, the black bone blood vine has reached the peak of the saint rank in terms of growth potential, and its combat power is still very strong. It is worth celebrating. Without hesitation, Lin Yu immediately went to the central teleportation array in the town. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the Eastern Gate teleportation array of the town. Going out from here is the Spirit Field. The reason for using the teleportation array is that after Paradise Town was upgraded to a high-level town, its area has become very large, spanning nearly 80 kilometers. It would take a lot of time and effort to fly over. It's better to arrive instantly with a teleportation. Entering the Spirit Field, Lin Yu arrived at the area where he planted the black bone blood vine and the everlasting flower. As a result, He only saw an everlasting flower that was over 10 meters tall. But the black bone blood vine was nowhere to be seen. In the place where the black bone blood vine was originally planted, there was only a big hole left. Advertisement. Just as Lin Yu was puzzled, a small black figure suddenly emerged from the ground. Then, with great excitement, it pounced towards Lin Yu. And in its little mouth, it kept calling out, "Daddy." Lin Yu was completely dumbfounded. It wasn't until the small figure leaped into his arms that he snapped back to reality. It was a small girl who appeared to be around 15 or 16 years old, with a delicate and adorable appearance. She was wearing a black dress, and faint blood stains could be seen shimmering on the skirt. There was no doubt that this little girl was the black bone blood vine. The only difference was that before, she was a vine. Now, she had transformed into a human. Of course, not a real human, but the humanoid form of a demonic plant. Both demonic plants and demonic beasts can assume a humanoid form when they reach a certain level. And that level is the demigod level. Thinking of this, Lin Yu immediately checked the information of the little girl. Black bone blood vine. Belongs to the vine-type demonic plant. Level. Early demigod. Growth status. Adult. Introduction. A rare demonic plant that has undergone 3 bloodline evolutions, possessing extremely powerful combat strength. Blood and bones are its favorites, belonging to the evil demonic plant lineage. 3 bloodline evolutions? Lin Yu was instantly astonished. He hadn't expected that while he couldn't see, the black bone blood vine had actually undergone its 3rd bloodline evolution. You see, that everlasting flower with its big round face. It hadn't even undergone a single evolution. No wonder she can assume a humanoid form. The black bone blood vine has already reached the demigod level and has mastered the power of the laws. Just then, Lin Yu heard the little girl in his arms calling him Daddy again. Her voice was soft but filled with a sense of dependence. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth twitched. He had only said it casually back then, but the black bone blood vine had actually remembered it all this time. She called him Daddy as soon as she transformed. How could this be? He himself was not even 20 years old. How could he have a daughter who looked like she was 15 or 16? Advertisement. The little girl who had transformed from the black bone blood vine was very delicate and adorable, with a petite and slender figure, as well as a pair of watery blood-red eyes and blood-red hair that reached her waist. Although she appeared to be only 15 or 16 years old, she was actually an adult. Her overall appearance could be described as that of a big loli. From now on, you should call me Master. Upon receiving Lin Yu's response, the big loli vigorously nodded her head. Lin Yu then communicated with Myriad World's floating island, asking, "How do I form a master-servant contract with a demonic plant?" Follow the prompts given by Overlord. Prompts. Lin Yu looked down at the big loli in his arms. At this moment, a virtual information box appeared. Do you choose to form a master-servant contract with the current demonic plant? Yes or no? Lin Yu fell silent for a moment, then chose yes. Suddenly, a dazzling 9-pointed star formation appeared out of thin air and imprinted itself on the forehead of the big loli. After a moment, a stream of blood light flew out from the big loli's forehead and entered Lin Yu's body. With that, the master-servant contract was complete. Throughout the entire process, the big loli did not resist at all. Instead, she was very happy. Give you a name. Should I call you Hei Ting or Xiaotung? After much thought, Lin Yu finally named the big loli Situng. Do you like it? Situng nodded her head vigorously. Her voice was crisp, pleasant, and filled with happiness as she said, "I like all the names Master gives me." Lin Yu burst into laughter. Not far away, the everlasting flower was envious to the point of tears almost falling. Why didn't it have that kind of freakish talent for frenzy? It couldn't evolve just by getting angry. If it had that talent, how could that vine compare? Damn it, it had to work even harder. It wanted to ascend to the demigod level and let that vine know that Flower Sister will always be Flower Sister. Lin Yu pulled the little hand of the big loli, Situng, and walked out of the spirit field. Radiant Saintess, Tiffany, stood not far away. She was wearing a platinum-colored long dress, and the cross on her neck emitted a dazzling light. Under the shining sun, she appeared even more beautiful and holy, without a speck of dust. Her temperament, cheeks, and figure were all top-notch. It must be said, the Radiant Church is very strict in selecting saintesses. After all, they serve the God of faith. Any slight flaw would be disrespectful to the God of faith. Before this, if Tiffany had the hope of advancing to the peak level of a demigod, she could enter the myriad worlds battlefield and serve the famous Radiant Goddess. But now, she has become Lin Yu's maid. It is likely that even the Radiant Goddess wouldn't be angry if she knew. According to the records in the Radiant Church's scriptures, the Radiant Goddess is a subordinate deity of the Lord of Holy Light. Half of the faith power contributed by her followers needs to be offered to the Lord of Holy Light. All faith power must be offered. What is a mere Radiant Saintess? On the other side, Tiffany saw the big lowly, Si-tung, being led by Lin Yu. The expression on Radiant Saintess, Tiffany's delicate cheeks froze for a moment. She didn't understand how the Lord of Holy Light brought a human girl with him into the spirit field. But soon she realized. Because she sensed the unique aura emanating from Si-tung and the powerful demigod pressure. She immediately understood the reason. This delicate and lovely girl is not human. She is a terrifying demonic plant that has reached the demigod level and has the ability to transform. My lord. Tiffany didn't dare to think too much and quickly greeted them. Lin Yu nodded, and his gaze lingered on Tiffany's proud figure for a moment. Then he led the two women back to the town. The town's army had all gone out. Aside from the angel army that had already gone to the giant kingdom, the hundreds of thousands of local believer armies had also used teleportation arrays to go to the wilderness world 150 kilometers away. These local believer armies had two tasks. One was to hunt wild monsters. The other task was to attack local strongholds. Especially within the 150-kilometer range, all the local strongholds had already been abandoned, because the elite members of those strongholds had become Lin Yu's believers. Advertisement. Their strength had plummeted, but the strongholds were still intact. They could be easily taken over. By eliminating these strongholds, Lin Yu would obtain a large amount of basic resources, blueprints, and stronghold treasure chests. In the northwest area of the town, there were mountains of monster corpses piled up. These were the harvest from yesterday during the day. After the onslaught of the beast tide, Paradise Town obtained over 10 million wild monster corpses in total. Tens of thousands of residents had been working tirelessly since yesterday, but they still hadn't finished decomposing those monster corpses. But this didn't prevent Paradise Town's resource reserves from overflowing. Lin Yu's territory now had a total of 3 warehouses, with a reserve capacity of 30 million units. But they still couldn't accommodate all the decomposed meat. If nothing unexpected happened, there would be at least 100 million units of meat overflowing and needing to be stored outdoors. However, Lin Yu no longer had to worry about the meat spoiling, because Secretarian possessed the power of spatial laws. Last night, Secretarian used the power of spatial laws to create an independent space in the northwest area of the town, isolated from the floating island. From the outside, this independent space appeared as a cube. The length, width, and height are only 200 to 300 meters. However, the space inside is extremely vast and can accommodate dozens of mountains that are kilometers high without any problem. Obviously, this independent space is forcibly compressed, just like the spirit field. The residents only need to put the decomposed beast meat into this independent space. The spatial law power it carries can keep the meat in a very fresh state. If there were additional warehouses, it would be even better. Unfortunately, we have to wait for the territory to upgrade to a town before we can build more and larger reserve warehouses. Now, Lin Yu is only one building blueprint away from upgrading to a town. Paradise Town is now bustling. Crafting equipment, preparing potions. The believers and residents are all working. In the northeast area of the town, there is a group of hardworking artisan angels building new City of Angels, and they are building 3 at once. Paradise Town is currently not lacking in basic resources. Building 3 City of Angels at the same time is also completely feasible. Barring any unexpected circumstances, it will take at most 3 to 4 days. Advertisement. These 3 City of Angels will be completed. At that time, Lin Yu can dispatch the territorial army and launch a full-scale war against the Dark Forest. After the Giant Kingdom, as long as the Bone Temple, Elf Garden, and Naga Kingdom are eliminated, the Dark Forest will be under the rule of his Paradise Town. He will control this large region. Looking at the entire territory, Lin Yu can be said to be the most leisurely one. After Radiant Saintess Tiffany moved his exclusive recliner out of the Hall of the Overlord, he lay down on it, basking in the sun while browsing the island chat channel and trading platform. Little Lolita Seating is playing with a few dark elves not far away. She prefers to interact with dark elves compared to other residents, because she is an evil spectrum plant spirit, and dark elves also belong to the dark and evil camp. There is a sense of familiarity when they interact. As for Radiant Saintess Tiffany, she stands respectfully by Lin Yu's side. Seeing Lin Yu comfortably lying on the recliner, Tiffany clenches her silver teeth, then walks behind Lin Yu and gently places her tender and slender hands on his shoulders, giving him a massage. Serving the great Lord of Holy Light is her mission. She is honored to serve the Lord of Holy Light, but also worried that she will be rejected by him. That's why she hesitated for a long time. But for Lin Yu, there is no reason to refuse when a beautiful saint is giving him a massage. After working all night last night, he happens to need to relax his muscles. At the same time, the Giant Kingdom is also in chaos. But not because of the attack of the Angel Army. The Angel Army is marching, and the Giant Kingdom is completely unaware of it. The chaos is due to the theft of the kingdom's treasury, which, after fermenting overnight, has finally spread throughout the entire capital. The kingdom's treasury is the core of the Giant Kingdom, not to mention how many precious items are stored there. The most important thing is that it is heavily guarded. Now, thieves have actually infiltrated the kingdom's treasury and almost emptied it. This has left the mountain giants in the capital incredulous. At the same time, it has also made them angry. Since the establishment of the Giant Kingdom, they have never encountered such a heart-wrenching incident. Many hot-tempered mountain giants are roaring. They want to capture the thieves and tear them to pieces. But the lower-level mountain giants do not know that the theft of the kingdom's treasury was done by their own people. They still think it was thieves from other races who infiltrated. The central temple of the Giant Kingdom. Gathered here are mountain giants, each towering nearly 20 meters tall. There are nearly 100 of them, and they are all saint-rank powerhouses. Ordinary transcendent-level mountain giants have no qualifications to appear here. The kingdom's treasury has been looted, which is a major event. So all the high-ranking members of the Giant Kingdom have gathered here. Of course, there is another reason, which is that the Giant Kingdom is facing an invasion by a powerful enemy. Using this reason, the Elder has summoned all the high-ranking members and powerhouses of the kingdom to discuss countermeasures. The Elder is already old, with a thin and hunched figure. He is wearing a gray robe and holding a withered wooden staff, with a gloomy expression as he says, "It can be confirmed that the person who looted our kingdom's treasury is Woodrow and Agutiki." What? Upon hearing this, the high-ranking members present all widen their eyes, expressing disbelief. Woodrow and Agutiki, like them, are also high-ranking members of the Giant Kingdom and powerful saint-rank professionals. How could they do such a thing? Furthermore, noble descendants of the Titans engaging in theft would be nailed to the pillar of shame of the mountain giant clan. Not to mention defiling the bloodline of the Titans, they would never be able to hold their heads up for the rest of their lives. If future generations found out, they would spit on them. A burly mountain giant speaks in a buzzing voice. "Elder, is there some misunderstanding in this matter? I don't think Woodrow and Agutiki could possibly." No need to say more. This is the truth. The Elder interrupts the words of the high-ranking mountain giant, saying, "Woodrow and Agutiki have completely betrayed the kingdom and the Titan bloodline within them. Also, Banite is the same." Banite? One of the high-ranking members of the kingdom says, isn't he dead? According to Woodrow, Banite was killed by 4 dragons, including the green dragon Aldrich. That's a lie. The elder says, news has come from the tribe that Banite entered their territory yesterday afternoon and ordered them to hand over magic cores and other precious resources. Banite is not dead. Woodrow and Agatiki have deceived us. Advertisement. Before leaving the capital, the two of them sneaked into the kingdom's treasury and looted everything inside. Because of these 3 traitors, our kingdom has suffered heavy losses. Damn it! In the hall, there is an immediate burst of angry roars. Yesterday, they were still grieving over Banite's unfortunate sacrifice. As a result, Banite not only didn't die but also became a traitor. This made them feel deceived and even more angry in their hearts. And Woodrow and Agatiki. If these 3 guys appear in front of them, they swear to the Titans that they will tear them into pieces to wash away the shame they have brought to the Mountain Giant clan. Elder. A mountain giant roars in anger. Where are they now? Tell me, I will go and kill them immediately. The Mountain Giant clan is very united internally, but they never show mercy to traitors. In the hall, the other mountain giants are also filled with righteous indignation. In their eyes, the glory of the Titans must never be desecrated. Woodrow and the other 3 who betrayed the glory of the Titans must die. The elder coughs and says, I have summoned you all here for this reason. But it is not to capture those 3 traitors, but for another reason. The severity of this matter may even surpass the theft of the kingdom's treasury. What happened? The high-ranking officials of the kingdom hurriedly asked. The elder said, you must believe in the will of our Mountain Giant clan. Not to mention that Woodrow and the others are all saint-rank professionals. Under normal circumstances, even if they sacrificed themselves on the battlefield, they would not betray the glory of the Titans. I suspect that they didn't simply betray us, but rather, they have been controlled. To be able to control the life of a saint-rank mountain giant, the strength must be extremely terrifying. Yesterday afternoon, I sent the Grand Commander with a group of saint-rank powerhouses to besiege the Green Dragon Aldrich. But until now, they have not returned to the kingdom, nor have we received any news from them. It is highly likely that the Green Dragon Aldrich has already died. This is a conspiracy. A conspiracy against my giant kingdom. Upon hearing this, the high-ranking mountain giants present were immediately shocked and pale. Elder, the Grand Commander is a peak saint-rank powerhouse. Besides a demigod, who could kill him? Not to mention that he is not alone, but accompanied by a group of saint-rank powerhouses. That's right, Elder. In the entire kingdom, the Grand Commander's strength is second only to His Majesty and the Great Prophet, who are demigod-level powerhouses. Even dragon race powerhouses of the same level would not be able to kill him. Advertisement. Elder, is it possible that you are overthinking? The elder remained silent for a moment and said, I also hope that I am overthinking, but my intuition tells me. Your intuition is unreliable. A mountain giant blurted out, if it were the Great Prophet, I would choose to believe. The other mountain giants nodded in agreement. In their eyes, the elder had buried his head in the ground. They believed that intuition was completely unreliable. Of course, the main reason was that they did not believe that any force in the dark forest would dare to oppose their mountain giant clan. The giant kingdom possessed a 1,000,000-strong army of powerful mountain giants. They had also signed a defensive alliance agreement with the Elf Garden to the east. With such a strong alliance, who would dare to provoke them? Even the Lich of the Bone Temple did not dare to recklessly venture outside under the deterrence of their mountain giant clan. The reaction of the high-ranking officials of the kingdom completely left the elder at a loss. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said, forget about intuition or lack thereof. I say there is a conspiracy, so there must be one. During this period, we must strengthen the defense forces of the peripheral cities and tribes. In addition, expand the scope of early warning. We must not give the enemy any opportunity. All right. A mountain giant said, what about the Grand Commander and the others? Should we send someone to look for them? The elder glared at him and said, "Are you brainless? If something really happened to the Grand Commander, no matter how many people we send, it would be a dead end. We cannot let our people sacrifice in vain. And one more thing." The elder said, "All the recent incidents have been concentrated in the southeast region of the kingdom. There must be something hidden there. Pay close attention to it." A mountain giant said, "I heard that a rapidly growing overlord from another world has appeared there and established a force called Paradise Town. I wonder if these incidents are related to that overlord? Logic tells me that the possibility is very low." The elder shook his head. He would rather believe that the Lich of the Bone Temple was playing dead. He was unwilling to believe that a mere town-level territory could control Woodrow and the others, and even kill their kingdom's Grand Commander and so many Saint-rank powerhouses. Therefore, the enemy unit must be from another force. This was the judgment made by the elder under extremely rational circumstances. On the other side, hundreds of kilometers away from the giant kingdom of the Mountain Giant King, the majestic City of Angels, like a divine palace, shattered the thick clouds and appeared here. Behind, following the mighty fallen angel legion. Along the way, the indigenous intelligent race in the jungle below, as well as the wild monsters and demons, all trembled in fear. Even the saint-rank level demons were scared and quickly retreated to their lairs. They were all catching their breath cautiously, because both the City of Angels and the fallen angel legion emitted terrifying auras, as if even a demigod standing in front would be killed. Shortly after entering the core area of the giant kingdom, the angel army encountered a mountain giant tribe. Inside the tribe, there were about 4,000 mountain giants, with the highest level reaching the transcendent initial stage, serving as the tribe's chief. At the same time, the sound of drums echoed within the tribe. The mountain giants also saw the floating City of Angels in the sky and the massive fallen angel army. Enemy attack! A mountain giant roared in panic. The other thousands of mountain giants quickly armed themselves, preparing to fight for the survival of the tribe. In terms of warfare, the mountain giants, who inherited the will of the Titans, were not inferior to anyone. In the World Defense War of the past, the giant races, including the mountain giants, were the main force at the forefront, with countless casualties. Not long after, a figure flew out of the tribe and appeared hundreds of meters in the air. He was the chief of this tribe. Looking at the City of Angels that crushed the clouds, this transcendent-level mountain giant couldn't help but swallow his saliva involuntarily. His expression was filled with shock and disbelief. But he still gathered his courage and shouted sternly, "This is the core territory of our mountain giant kingdom. No matter which force you come from or what your purpose is, leave immediately. Otherwise, it will be war between us and the mountain giant kingdom." As soon as his voice fell, the world fell into silence, as if time had stopped. During this time, the transcendent-level mountain giant also closely observed the white giant city floating above and the winged legion, emitting a strong evil aura behind. He recalled a legend recorded in the ancient books of the kingdom, but he couldn't be sure, because those creatures with black wings, unlike the ones recorded in the ancient books. It was about the angel clan in the legend. Angels, sacred beings, an incredibly powerful mythical race that once dominated the vast myriad world's battlefield. According to legend, angels had extremely beautiful appearances, pure white wings, and a pure and sacred aura. But the legion gathered in the distance. Each creature was huge in size, with pitch-black wings on their backs, and emitted an extremely evil aura. It could be determined that they were not the angels recorded in the ancient books. But the problem was the white giant city floating in the air. Advertisement. It was exactly the same as the famous City of Angels. What was going on? Just as this transcendent mountain giant was racking his brains and couldn't figure it out, an extremely beautiful figure flew out of the City of Angels. At the moment he saw that figure, the heart of the transcendent mountain giant suddenly skipped a beat. As if struck by lightning, his massive body instantly stiffened. He widened his eyes and uncontrollably shouted in madness, "It really is the legendary Angel Clan. They have descended upon this world, and they have brought the famous fortress, the City of Angels. But how is this possible? The ancient books record that even in the myriad worlds battlefield, the angel clan disappeared tens of millions of years ago. How could they suddenly appear in this world? At this moment, a thought suddenly emerged in the mind of the transcendent mountain giant. Disaster has come, not only for their mountain giant kingdom, but also for the entire floating island world. Because angels were known as a warlike race. They held the banner of faith and claimed to purify the world, either in war or on the path of war. Now, the angel army has descended upon the core territory of their giant kingdom, bringing the famous City of Angels, the implications of which are self-evident. He was now in a panic, seemingly foreseeing the future of the mountain giant kingdom. Wait. Seeing the six-winged angel radiating divine light flying over, the transcendent mountain giant suddenly shouted, "Our mountain giant tribe is a direct descendant of the thundering titans, belonging to the lawful neutral camp, not an evil race." The reason he emphasized that they are not an evil race is because, according to legend, in the eyes of angels, all evil races are heretics and must be purified. The followers of the bountiful great lands have inherited the glorious tradition of the angelic race. They kill evil creatures whenever they catch them. Occasionally, they even bind evil creatures to crosses and burn them. He doesn't want to be purified by the angels. Even more so, he doesn't want to see the flames of war ignited by the angelic race spread to their giant kingdom. He shouts that the mountain giants are direct descendants of the Thunder Titans, hoping to make these angels wary and first investigate their background before speaking. "O great Lord of holy light, benevolent and selfless, treat all races in the world equally." The six-winged angel spoke coldly. She was wearing a holy platinum magic robe, holding an exquisite divine staff engraved with angelic runes, and looking at the transcendent-level mountain giant with an indifferent expression. "I will give you and your tribe a chance to redeem yourselves. Embrace the holy light and become followers of my Lord. Under the protection of my Lord, you will obtain eternal life." "This is impossible." The transcendent mountain giant kept retreating and said, "We believe in the great Titan true God. Are you angelic beings trying to seize the faith belonging to the Titan true God? All the myriad worlds have decayed. Darkness is imminent. Only the holy light is eternal." As he spoke, the six-winged angel waved the divine staff in his hand. Immediately, a brilliant rain of light fell from the void, not only merging into the body of the transcendent mountain giant, but also enveloping the tribe below. This is the legendary faith magic that can distort will. "Quick run." Advertisement. The transcendent mountain giant shouted in fear. Upon hearing his words, thousands of mountain giants in the tribe also panicked and scattered to escape. But soon, they stopped. They all knelt down in unison, devoutly praying to the Lord of Holy Light. Even the transcendent-level mountain giant couldn't hold on for long. After a brief struggle, he also knelt down. "Gather the warriors of your tribe. March with my army." "Understood, honorable envoy of the holy." The transcendent mountain giant respectfully obeyed the order and immediately mobilized the tribal army. Soon, thousands of mountain giants in the tribe gathered again, their fighting spirit and morale even more fervent than before. This is the power of fanatical faith. At the same time, floating in the sky, the City of Angels, hundreds of beautiful angels wielding divine staffs, took flight. Each of them was a type of angel skilled in divine magic, specializing in the magic of faith. Then, the City of Angels continued to advance. Its target was the Giant Kingdom, hundreds of kilometers away. As for the fallen angel legion in the rear, they dispersed on the spot, dividing into small angel legions of reorganized scale. Each legion consisted of over 500 fallen angels, led by a six-winged fallen angel. Lady Angelia has given orders. Our mission as the Fallen Angel Legion is to eliminate the mountainous giants and tribes surrounding the Giant Kingdom. Cooperate with the Holy Angel Legion and swiftly annihilate the entire Giant Kingdom. Understood. The six-winged fallen angels responded one after another. Immediately, The fallen angel army began to move, forming a fan-shaped array as they encircled the core territory of the giant kingdom. Within each fallen angel legion camp, there were 3 to 4 holy angels wielding divine staffs. Some were 4-winged grand angels. Some were 6-winged seeker angels. Their task was to spread the belief in the holy light to the mountainous giants and tribes. When encountering tough opponents, they would leave it to the fallen angel legion to deal with. In short, the main strategy of the angel army's attack on the giant kingdom was to convert as many believers of the holy light as possible, and for those who cannot be converted, purify them through physical means. In less than a moment, a fierce war erupted in the core territory of the giant kingdom. The nearby cities and tribes were all attacked by the fallen angel legion. Other fallen angel legions continued to advance, searching for new battlefields. The divine art-level angels accompanying the army continuously unleashed their divine magic on the battlefield. Countless mountainous giants became believers of the holy light. After becoming believers of the holy light, they immediately followed the footsteps of the fallen angel legion and counterattacked their own cities and tribes. For them, this was not betrayal. It was the battle for the revival of the mountainous giant clan. Since the Titan true God could not protect them, they would follow the new God of faith. Moreover, being able to ride on the faith battleship of the angel clan was something they were proud of. After all, angels were a mythical race. On the other side, the high-ranking members of the giant kingdom received news of a large-scale invasion of the core territory of the kingdom by enemy forces. Just a moment ago, they were still discussing the possibility of a war. And now, war had arrived. This, couldn't be more coincidental. This is not a coincidence. This is a conspiracy against my giant kingdom. Inside the central temple, the elder held a withered wooden staff and said gloomily, "This conspiracy began when the affiliated tribes in the southeast region were captured. It is even possible that Audrich's death was just a part of the conspiracy. I have to say, the enemy forces have succeeded. Not only have we lost more than 10 saint-rank powerhouses, but our kingdom's treasury has been looted, causing us heavy losses. Now, the enemy forces have sent a large army to attack, intending to completely destroy our giant kingdom. Their methods are extremely cunning." This is the elder's own viewpoint. But if Lin Yu knew, he might tell the elder of the giant kingdom that his viewpoint was purely his own imagination. There was no conspiracy from beginning to end. Everything happened naturally. The loss of more than 10 saint-rank powerhouses in the giant kingdom was not even within the scope of Lin Yu and Angelia's plan. It was entirely driven by the elder himself. If he hadn't sent Woodrow and others to investigate the destruction of the local forces' strongholds in the southeast region, there would not have been incidents such as the looting of the kingdom's treasury and the death of the Grand Commander. The series of actions by the elder not only promoted the rapid growth of Paradise Town, but also accelerated the pace of war in Paradise Town. A mountain giant said, "Elder, it is meaningless to talk about these things now. The enemy legion has already invaded our core territory. We must immediately gather our forces to repel the enemy." The elder nodded. Then he summoned the person who reported the information into the central temple. It was a mountain giant of huge stature, but with a terrified expression. The elder immediately asked, "What is the situation of the invaders?" The other high-ranking members and powerhouses in the temple also focused their attention on this transcendent realm mountain giant. They saw him with a fearful expression and said, "Elder, you can't imagine what we have encountered. The invaders who have invaded our territory are none other than the legendary mythical angel clan. They have used their evil faith magic to control a large number of mountain giants in our city. There are also countless black-winged angels with huge bodies and emitting an evil aura following them. Their aura is even more evil than the demons in legends. As long as the mountain giants who refuse to embrace the holy light, they are all killed cleanly by them, and even their blood and souls are devoured." Advertisement. Those white-winged angels, black-winged angels, while spreading the faith of the Lord of Holy Light, they are also massacring our people. In the blink of an eye, our city was captured. After a moment of pause, The mountain giant trembled and said, "I was fortunate enough to escape using a precious teleportation scroll. At the moment of leaving, I looked back and saw mountain giants kneeling all over the city. They have all had their wills twisted and have devoted themselves to the embrace of the Lord of Holy Light." The legendary angel clan? In the hall, all the high-ranking members and powerhouses exclaimed. As direct descendants of the Thunder Titan, they were fearless and not afraid of death. The powerful nature elves, the dragon nest that ruled the 36 islands, and the bright church that deterred the entire bountiful great lands, they were all fearless. It was just a matter of death. What were they afraid of? However, this did not mean that they were not afraid of the legendary Angel Clan. According to the ancient records of their kingdom, the Angel Clan was able to rival the Thunder Titan clan at its strongest. They had swept countless worlds in the name of faith. Of course, this was only recorded in the ancient records of their kingdom. The reality was, on the battlefield of myriad worlds, the Thunder Titan clan is no match for the Angel Clan. The 18-winged Grand Archangel of the Angel Clan is a terrifying presence well known in the myriad worlds battlefield. Even without the Lord of Holy Light, they can still suppress all races, making countless intelligent species tremble in fear. And this is why, even after tens of millions of years, the reputation of the Angel Clan has not been forgotten, and many advanced races know of their existence. If it were an ordinary race, they would have long been forgotten in the river of time. Are you sure you're not mistaken? The legendary Angel Clan, how could they descend upon our world? In the eyes of the high-ranking officials and powerful individuals of the kingdoms, how could their broken little world accommodate the Angel Clan? The place where the Angel Clan appears should be the vast and infinite myriad worlds battlefield. That is where the Angel Clan can unleash their powerful war capabilities. Sir, this is absolutely true. I can confirm that they are the legendary angels. Advertisement. The mountain giant's expression was filled with fear as he said, "And besides the seraphim and the fallen angels, I also saw underworld creatures that should not appear in our world, the rumored hellhound." All the high-ranking officials fell silent. One moment it's the seraphim, the next it's the fallen angels. And now even the hellhound has appeared. If it weren't daytime, they would suspect that this transcendent-level mountain giant was talking in his sleep. Hellhound. Isn't that the guardian race of the underworld gate? Definitely an underworld creature. How could such an evil race mix with the sacred Angel Clan? According to common sense, when the hellhound appears, it should be burned to ashes by the sacred angels, and its soul should not be able to escape back to the underworld. By the way, Elder, and all the esteemed individuals, the transcendent-level mountain giant suddenly spoke up. Before our city was invaded by the angel army, I also saw a throne angel city appear in the sky, shattering the clouds. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire temple fell into silence. After a moment, some high-ranking officials exclaimed, "Are you sure it was the city of angels?" "Absolutely." The mountain giant nodded vigorously and said, "It was a white giant city spanning nearly 10,000 meters, with densely packed sacred angels on the city walls, and it was also equipped with a large number of magical energy cannons. Just by looking at it, you can tell that their war capabilities are extremely terrifying. Furthermore, the direction in which the city of angels disappeared is towards our capital. If nothing unexpected happens, that throne angel city will soon arrive here." Upon hearing this, the high-ranking officials and powerful individuals present had an impulse to beat the mountain giant on the spot. How could he leave such an important matter until the end to mention? The elderly elder also roared in anger, "Idiot! Why didn't you say it earlier?" The mountain giant looked somewhat innocent and said, "Elder, you were the one who asked me about the situation of the enemy invading our city first." The elder was so angry that his eyes rolled back. Then he immediately shouted at the high-ranking officials and powerful individuals in the temple, "What are you all still standing around for? Immediately, gather the army of the capital. Recall all the mountain giant warriors from the nearby cities and tribes to defend the capital. And activate the magic defense shield of the capital. This war concerns the life and death of our mountain giant kingdom, and there is absolutely no room for failure. The high-ranking members and powerful individuals in the Temple of the Giant Kingdom all had twisted expressions. It was one thing for the army of angels to invade their core territory, but now even the city of angels had appeared. With one misstep, their mountain giant clan would be finished, and it was possible that the entire clan would be wiped out. Although not all mountain giants would die on the battlefield, a portion of them would fall into the embrace of the Lord of Holy Light under the angels' faith and magic. But what difference did that make from annihilation? In their eyes, mountain giants who believed in the holy light were no longer pure mountain giants. Elder, a high-ranking member suddenly spoke up, if we transfer all the mountain giant warriors over, won't the city and tribes they are guarding become defenseless and easily conquered by the army of angels? Do we even need those city and tribes? We worked so hard to establish them. Where is your brain? The elder glared angrily and said, the city of angels' target is our capital. If the capital falls, what use are those city and tribes? We don't need them, not at all. We need to concentrate the kingdom's power and have a decisive battle with the army of angels. Understood. The scolded mountain giant high-ranking members were not angry. They solemnly nodded. The other high-ranking members and powerful individuals of the kingdom also felt a sense of impending doom, making it difficult for them to breathe. Since the establishment of the giant kingdom until now, nothing like this had ever happened. They had always been one of the overlords of the dark forest, ruling over a large number of affiliated intelligent races. Who could have imagined that disaster would suddenly befall their kingdom? Without hesitation, many high-ranking members and powerful individuals of the kingdom left the temple and quickly assembled the mountain giant army in the capital, while also issuing urgent mobilization orders to the surrounding city and tribes. Soon, the capital of the giant kingdom became like a secret war machine, rapidly mobilizing. At the same time, the city and tribes that received the orders also gathered their elite warriors and converged on the capital. Whether they arrived faster or the army of angels arrived faster was not very important. Those who arrived early would gather in the capital and definitely confront the army of angels. Those who arrived late would join forces from within and without to besiege the army of angels. At least, that was the plan of the high-ranking members of the giant kingdom. Elder, a high-ranking member of the kingdom said, now that the kingdom is facing a crisis, I think we should bring His Majesty and the great prophet out. As for comprehending the laws, we can discuss it later. Advertisement. I understand. The elder nodded. Before going into seclusion, His Majesty had said that he should not be disturbed no matter what happened, along with the great prophet. But now, the situation was urgent. The kingdom was facing the danger of annihilation. Even if he didn't want to disturb them, he had to. To put it bluntly, facing such a terrifying enemy as the angelic race. If he didn't act quickly, by the time His Majesty and the great prophet came out of seclusion, they might find that their home was gone. I will go to the Forbidden Land later. The elder said to the high-ranking members and powerful individuals present, you all can leave. Bring out everything that can enhance our war strength. We must use all our power to defend the capital. And all the magic cores, take them out. At that time, use the magic cannons on the city walls to bombard the city of angels. At this moment, a mountain giant high-ranking member interjected, Elder, is your memory failing? All the magic cores stored in our kingdom's treasury have been stolen. The Grand Elder's expression twisted instantly. He muttered under his breath, damn traitor. Then he angrily exclaimed, the kingdom's treasury has been stolen. Can't you think of any other solutions? Gather all your small treasuries, as well as the magical cores from the other people in the capital, and even those from the city and tribe reserves. It will be enough to deal with this war. After the war, the kingdom will compensate you. After speaking, the Grand Elder added in his mind, if we can win the war. Just at that moment, a mountain giant seemed to have a sudden realization and said loudly, Grand Elder, I have finally figured something out. It must be the angel clan using their divine magic to make Woodrow and Agatiki betray our kingdom. It was also the angel clan that sent them back to our kingdom to plunder our treasury. A powerful mountain giant twitched his mouth and said, "Isn't this obvious? Why did it take you so long to figure it out?" The mountain giant shook his head and said, "That's not the point. The point is, why did the angel clan let Woodrow and Agatiki plunder our kingdom's treasury? Why? Because their city of angels needs energy? Without energy, it cannot be activated." The mountain giant said, "Even Banate is collecting magical cores from those tribes, because these magical cores are used to activate the city of angels. The angel clan is using our strategic resources to attack us. It's infuriating." Advertisement. The Grand Elder rubbed his forehead. It was better not to say anything, but once he did, he felt even more uncomfortable. "All right, we all know you are a smart mountain giant. Go and prepare for war. Don't be in such a hurry, Grand Elder. I haven't finished yet. I suspect that the force behind the angel clan is Paradise Town, and all the angels were summoned to the mortal realm by that overlord from another world." "Shut up. My reason tells me that you should leave immediately." The forbidden land of the giant kingdom. Behind the central temple was a mountain several hundred meters high. One side of the mountain was carved with a huge statue of the Thunder Titan. On the other side of the mountain stood palaces made of what seemed like golden material. The Grand Elder used a special secret technique to enter the mountain and then arrived at one of the palaces. After countless spiritual calls, he finally summoned two massive figures. Two figures, one male and one female. Both were mountain giants over 20 meters tall. The male mountain giant was in his prime, exuding a domineering aura. He was the ruler of the giant kingdom, with the initial level of a demigod. The female mountain giant was elderly, like the Grand Elder. She was the great prophet of the giant kingdom, with a level as high as demigod late stage. In the giant kingdom, the prestige of this great prophet was even higher than that of the king, because she had witnessed the growth of at least 3 generations of giant kings. One more thing to mention. The lifespan of a saint-rank mountain giant is about 800 years. Demigods can live up to 3,000 years. The previous 2 kings died of old age because they failed to advance to demigod. Only this generation's king, under the full cultivation of the great prophet, reached the level of demigod. In simpler terms, she could die without any regrets. Elder Asa, the king of the giant kingdom, said angrily, "If you don't give me a reasonable explanation, I swear I will tie you under the statue of the Titan true God until your other foot steps into the coffin." The elderly great prophet also turned her gaze towards the Grand Elder. A hint of dissatisfaction could be seen in her dim eyes. She was helping the king comprehend the power of the laws, but was forcibly interrupted. It was a very annoying thing. The Grand Elder quickly said, "Your Majesty, please calm down. A disaster is approaching, and the kingdom needs you and the great prophet to stay." "A disaster? What kind of disaster?" "Your Majesty, the disaster is the invasion of the angel clan that our kingdom is facing. The legendary fortress of war, the city of angels, is already heading towards our capital. Your Majesty, the kingdom is in imminent danger." Upon hearing the words of the Grand Elder, the king of Giant Kingdom was completely bewildered. He began to suspect that he was experiencing auditory hallucinations. The elderly high prophet standing beside him had a stunned expression, as if she had seen a ghost. The legendary angel clan had invaded their kingdom's territory, and even the renowned city of angels had come, preparing to attack their capital. This seemed incredibly unbelievable. "How long have I been in seclusion?" the king asked. "Not even a month, Your Majesty," replied the high prophet. The king of Giant Kingdom's expression twisted as he said, "Then why do I feel like I've been in seclusion for 100 years? In the blink of an eye, the world seems to have undergone drastic changes." For him, who had a lifespan of 3,000 years, a mere month was indeed just a blink of an eye. The heavily wrinkled face of the Grand Elder twitched a few times before he said, "Your Majesty, it is meaningless to talk about these things now. We should find a way to protect our capital and our people." The king of Giant Kingdom immediately released his spiritual consciousness, radiating it throughout the capital from the forbidden land at its center. After a moment, he spoke, You have done a great job in defending the capital. There is nothing more I can improve." The Grand Elder cautiously asked, "Your Majesty, according to the ancient records of our kingdom, the Angel Clan's fortress, the City of Angels, possesses such formidable strength that it can kill gods. Is this true?" If this was true, then he felt that there was no need for Giant Kingdom to defend the capital at all. They might as well surrender directly. The king of Giant Kingdom shook his head and said, "I cannot give you a more definite answer. The information I know about the Angel Clan also comes from the ancient records of our kingdom. I can only tell you," he continued, "no matter what the outcome of this war is, our kingdom must stand firm to the end. We inherit the bloodline of the Thunder Titans, and naturally, we must protect the glory of the Titan clan. Sacrificing ourselves on the battlefield is the most sacred destiny for us, the mountain giants." "I understand, Your Majesty," the Grand Elder solemnly nodded. He then left the palace and returned to the capital to oversee the defense work. Watching the Grand Elder's disappearing figure, the elderly High Prophet spoke, "Your Majesty, the Angel Clan has even mobilized the City of Angels. It will be difficult for us to withstand their attack with our strength alone. We need assistance from the Elf Garden, the Naga Kingdom, and even the Bone Temple," she said. "If there is time, gather the forces of the affiliated tribes of our kingdom and concentrate them in the capital to fight the Angel Army to the death." "But time is running out," the king of Giant Kingdom shook his head. The Angel Army was coming with the City of Angels. They might descend upon the capital at any moment. By the time the legions of those affiliated tribes arrived, it would be too late. As long as he had one more day, he could gather a sufficiently large reinforcement army. But the problem was, would the Angel Clan give him that opportunity? Obviously, it was impossible. "This war can only rely on ourselves," the king declared. "But before that, I need to inform the Elf Queen about the arrival of the Angel Clan in this world. If we, Giant Kingdom, are defeated, she can be mentally prepared in advance." "Wise decision, Your Majesty," the High Prophet said with a serious expression. "The Angel Clan is a terrifying race that worships war. They once swept through countless myriad worlds. The number of world law spirits slain by the Angel Clan is unknown. Compared to the brutal void demons," she continued, "the Angel Clan is just a prefix added to the Divine and Light Camp. If this world is conquered by the Angel Clan, the intelligent races of this world will no longer have freedom. There are only two outcomes: purification or becoming followers of the Lord of Holy Light. If we are defeated," she said, "the intelligent races of this world must unite, just as they did when they expelled the demons and drive the Angel Clan out." The High Prophet of Giant Kingdom directly linked the angels with the demons. The King of Giant Kingdom also deeply agreed with this viewpoint. At least in their eyes, angels were not much better than demons. Without hesitation, the King of Giant Kingdom took out a palm-sized leaf from his spatial equipment. The leaf was emerald green, with clear and glossy veins. It looked as if it had been crafted from supreme-grade jade. As the King of Giant Kingdom infused his own law power into the leaf, it immediately emitted a brilliant green light, shining in the nearby space. Advertisement. After a moment, a figure slowly appeared. She wore a crown and a golden gown, with an exquisite face, a tall and graceful figure, and fair and jade-like skin. Her eyes and waist-length hair were both emerald green. Her ears were the pointed characteristic ears of the elves. She stood with her hands behind her back, slightly tilting her chin upwards, revealing her delicate swan-like neck. Her beauty was flawless, and she exuded a noble temperament. In comparison, Doris, the ancient great elf, paled in comparison. Because she was the ruler of the Elf Garden, a noble elf queen, her status among the natural elves was second only to the queen of the sacred land of elves. King Vaughn, Queen Brianna. The two rulers greeted each other. Elf Queen Brianna smiled slightly, her emerald green eyes forming a pair of beautiful crescents, and asked, "I wonder why King Vaughn suddenly contacted me. Is there something important?" King Vaughn immediately recounted the arrival of the angel race and the impending attack on the Giant Kingdom's capital. After listening, The smile on Elf Queen Brianna's face disappeared instantly. Her moist lips slightly parted. This was not the demeanor of an elf queen, but it also represented her current state of extreme shock. King Vaughn, I believe you wouldn't deceive me, but this is truly unbelievable. Yes, I don't want to believe it either, but it's the truth. King Vaughn said, Queen, you may pray now. Pray that our mountainous giant kingdom can repel the angel army's attack. Otherwise, it will be your turn to face war. Elf Queen Brianna took a deep breath and said solemnly, Is there anything that the elf garden can do to help? It's too late. King Vaughn said, I contacted you just to let the elf garden prepare mentally. I understand. Elf Queen Brianna nodded. Just as she was about to say something, she noticed a sudden change in the expression of King Vaughn, the giant king. What's wrong? They should be coming, the angel army. King Vaughn heard countless exclamations coming from the capital and quickly walked out of the palace. Looking up, he immediately saw a towering white city flying across the distant sky, shattering countless clouds, forcibly creating a wide path in the sky, as if tearing the sky in half. The momentum that swept everything away made King Vaughn gasp for breath. The great prophet following him also stiffened, filled with shock. Only Elf Queen Panina, who was thousands of kilometers away in the elf garden, was puzzled and asked, King Vaughn, what do you see? Advertisement. At this moment, she was in the elf garden. In front of her, there was only the stiff back of King Vaughn. Just as King Vaughn could only see her, unable to see anything else. After all, this was not a video call. It was more like a projection. In a low voice, King Vaughn said, I see the legendary city of angels crossing the sky and arriving. I sense countless sacred auras coming from the city, from the angel army. Queen, prepare for war. Perhaps this will be our last meeting. Upon hearing this, Elf Queen Panina's expression on her beautiful cheeks became extremely complicated. She hesitated, not knowing what to say. After a long time, she finally spoke. Take care, Your Majesty. King Vaughn nodded. Then he ended the conversation with Elf Queen Panina and flew straight out of the forbidden area. The great prophet quickly followed. The strength of the giant kingdom was still very powerful, with 2 demigod-level powerhouses. But now, the giant kingdom was facing the angel army that came with the city of angels. Whether they could defend the capital from being captured was still unknown. In the blink of an eye, the city of angels arrived just a few kilometers away from the giant kingdom's capital. Hovering in the sky, on the towering city walls, stood a group of high-ranking angels led by Angelia. Apart from Angelia, who was a 10-winged angel, the rest were all 8-winged angels. There was only one 6-winged angel, Elena, who usually served Lin Yu. Lady Angelia. 8-winged Dominion Angel Catherine, wearing a crown, respectfully said, Shall we send angels down to persuade surrender first? Secretary Anne, with an indifferent expression, said, The capital of the mountainous giants is covered by a magic defense barrier, and a large number of mountainous giants are converging from all directions. Obviously, they are prepared to defend the capital to the death. No need to waste time. Conquer the city directly with force. Yes, my lady. 8-winged Dominion Angel Catherine respectfully obeyed the order. Then she raised the scepter in her hand and gave the command, Charge up the cannons. In an instant, the 12-winged throne angel statue in the center of the city lit up with dazzling light. Immediately after, the sacred magic cannons and the bright giant cannons mounted on the walls of the city of angels quickly began to charge up. The muzzles were aimed down at the capital of the mountainous giants, Paradise Town. Lin Yu peacefully lay on the recliner, enjoying the massage from radiant Saintess Tiffany. Suddenly, he spoke up, The war has begun. Through the connection of the faith line, he could sense that the angel army had already arrived at the capital of the giant kingdom. Additionally, there were special kill notifications from the myriad worlds floating island, indicating that the fallen angel army was continuously attacking the city and tribes of the giant kingdom. Although the war had just begun not long ago, he had already obtained a large number of architectural blueprints and stronghold treasure chests from destroying those cities and tribes. Among them, most were silver-level chests, with a few being gold-level chests. There was also one diamond-level chest, which he obtained when he destroyed a very powerful mountain giant city. So far, this was the first diamond-level chest that Lin Yu had obtained, but it definitely wouldn't be the last. Apart from having a large number of cities, the Giant Kingdom also had a capital. Lin Yu had reason to believe that after capturing the capital of the Giant Kingdom, the level of the stronghold treasure chests he would obtain would be higher, with a high probability of obtaining rainbow crystal-level chests. This war alone can make me rich just by obtaining stronghold treasure chests. It won't be long before I gather 40,000 glory points to exchange for the divine weapon origin staff. Lin Yu squinted his eyes. His thighs were being kneaded very comfortably. After this proactive massage, Radiant Saintess Tiffany had completely entered the role of a maid. In the future, she would strive to become a perfect maid. On the other hand, Lin Yu opened the island chat channel and suddenly saw a message related to bountiful great lands. This message also sparked a heated discussion in the chat channel. Brothers, the 3 human kingdoms of bountiful great lands have gone to war. The local human kingdoms are at war? Weren't their enemies the professionals from other worlds like us? How come they're fighting among themselves? The specific situation is unclear, but the war has already begun. According to the intelligence I've gathered, it's the Holy See leading 2 human kingdoms to unilaterally declare war on the kingdom of Kilyas. Not only are the human legions mobilizing in the city I'm in, but the followers of the Church of Light are also gathering. Damn, bountiful great lands is in chaos. Can we take advantage of this? Killing monsters in the wilderness and killing local human professionals both reward us with primal energy. With 3 kingdoms at war, the number of local human professionals participating could reach millions. Even king-level powerhouses are cannon fodder on such a battlefield. Those who aren't afraid of death, go for it. Then forget it. I've only just reached level 5. Advertisement. This war broke out too suddenly. My intuition tells me that there must be hidden motives behind this war. I heard that the Kingdom of Kilyas has the support of the dragon nests on the 36 islands, so it's highly likely that the dragon nests will send their dragon army to participate in this war. Let's just kill them all. If the main force of the dragon nests is annihilated on the battlefield, we professionals on the 36 islands can organize and raid the dragon's homeland. Awesome. They really dare to think of anything. Looking at the information in the chat channel, Lin Yu couldn't help but sigh at the speed of the Holy See. Just last night, he received the order, and early this morning, they mobilized the armies of 2 human kingdoms and the power of the church to wage an undeclared war against the kingdom of Kilyas. It could be called lightning fast. Tiffany, my lord, what are your orders? Radiant Saintess raised her head, looking at the great lord of holy light with some confusion. Lin Yu's gaze lingered on Tiffany's exquisite and beautiful face as he asked, "You have the most understanding of the power of the bountiful great lands. Do you think that with the combined strength of the Radiant Church and the 2 human kingdoms, we can defeat the kingdom of Kilyas, backed by the dragon's nest?" "Most likely, there won't be a problem," Tiffany respectfully replied. "Although the strength of the Dragon Clan is formidable, they wouldn't go to war with us, the Radiant Church, just for the kingdom of Kilyas. Unless something unexpected happens, the kingdom of Kilyas will surely be defeated. However, during the war, it is highly possible that the kingdom of Kilyas and the Dragon's Nest will seek the intervention of the nature elves. In our world, there is a saying, whether the world is chaotic or not, it is determined by the abundance of fertile lands. Therefore, all races hope to see the fertile lands in a state of peace." That saying does sound interesting. Lin Yu chuckled and said, "Doesn't that mean that once I control the bountiful great lands, conquering the world won't be far off?" Tiffany nodded and said, "This world has a total of 8 regions: Barren Desert, Lake of Silence, and St. Cabell Snowfield. They have scarce resources and weak power, so they are not a concern. After you dominate the Dark Forest and the bountiful Great Lands, the remaining opponents will only be the Beast Clan Court in Runkle Prairie, the Dragon's Nest in the 36 Bay Islands, and the Nature Elves in the Sacred Land of Elves. Advertisement. The Elf Garden in the Dark Forest is a branch of the Nature Elves. The headquarters of the Nature Elves is in the far east, in the sacred land of elves, with the Elf Queen as their leader. Oh, and there are also the Sea Clan. The Sea Clan is loyal to the legendary Medusa Queen. However, the Sea Clan hasn't appeared on land for a long time, so there's no rush to deal with them after resolving these regions. At that time, the whole world will be under your control. Speaking up to this point, Radiant Saintess Tiffany also became excited. However, when she thought about the great Lord of Holy Light in front of her, conquering this world seemed insignificant. The Angel Clan of the past, sweeping through countless worlds. The followers of the Lord of Holy Light can be said to be spread throughout the myriad worlds of the universe. The Radiant Church in this world is just one of the faith forces of the Lord of Holy Light among countless worlds. Although Tiffany didn't understand why the Lord of Holy Light didn't directly conquer this world with his great power, even the aura he emitted was only at the saint rank level. But that didn't hinder her admiration for the Lord of Holy Light, because she could also clearly sense the connection of faith between her and the Lord of Holy Light. This was something that had never happened before entering the Dark Forest. I look forward to that day. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Just at this moment, he suddenly saw the constantly flashing friends list. Opening it, he saw a message from Bright Village Chief. After joining the Radiant Alliance channel earlier, Lin Yu accepted the friend request from the Bright Village Chief and received some information about the members of the Grand Alliance, as well as a list that was not friendly towards him. Golden Behemoth Overlord was one of them. Xia Qingyue wants to join me? Looking at the message sent by the Bright Village Chief, Lin Yu was somewhat surprised, but not too much. The reason for his slight surprise was that Xia Qingyue was, after all, an Apex-level Overlord, possessing the Apex-level unit, Frost Dragon. Moreover, she was also the leader of the First Alliance, Midsummer Night, with nearly 200,000 Alliance members. The speed at which she lowered her head was a bit fast. After considering for a moment, Lin Yu replied to Village Chief Guangming, "Tell Xia Qingyue that when I establish my kingdom, if she is still alive, I welcome her to join, but the conditions will not change just because she is an Apex-level Overlord." "Okay, boss, I'll tell her right away." Village Chief Guangming replied quickly. As the #1 lackey under the Lord of Holy Light, he had to constantly pay attention to the boss's movements. Most importantly, he had to closely follow the boss's footsteps. Not a single step could be wrong. Otherwise, those Radiant missionaries under his command would definitely not let him off the hook. Being tied to a cross and roasted was just the beginning. As an overlord in the Radiant camp, he, like other Radiant overlords, had been bound to Lin Yu's worship since the moment they first descended. When the boss eats meat, he drinks soup. When the boss is unhappy, he suffers. This is the damn fate. Turn off the Friends tab. Lin Yu closed his eyes and lay on the recliner, continuing to enjoy the services of Radiant Saintess Tiffany. In terms of massage technique, Tiffany still had room for improvement, but her strength was just right. At this moment, little Lolita Seating also ran over. Imitating Radiant Saintess Tiffany, she reached out her little hand to massage his shoulders. This made Tiffany become alert. The position of a maid couldn't be taken away by this plant-like creature. As for Lin Yu, he was enjoying it. In no time at all, he fell asleep. But shortly after he fell asleep, the dark elf mother tree standing in the distance suddenly underwent a mutation. The tree, hundreds of meters tall, trembled slightly. The tree trunk, branches, and even the leaves all emitted a rich light. This scene surprised both Radiant Saintess Tiffany and little Lolita Seatung, because within that dazzling light contained pure divine and radiant power. This was very contrary to common sense. After all, this was a dark elf mother tree, in control of dark elemental magic. The elves it gave birth to were all clearly evil dark elves. How could it release divine and radiant power? Both the big and small were puzzled by this. Advertisement. Not long after, they saw the divine and radiant power emanating from the dark elf mother tree gather together as if it had consciousness, eventually forming a light sphere with a diameter of about 2 meters. This light sphere floated in midair. It did not immediately give birth to elves. Instead, it continued to absorb the divine and radiant power released by the dark elf mother tree. Tiffany and little Lolita Seating exchanged glances. They could both see what the other was thinking. The dark elf mother tree was about to give birth to special elves, and they were related to the divine and radiant attributes. Radiant Saintess Tiffany arrived in Paradise Town yesterday evening. She had personally witnessed the dark elf mother tree giving birth to dark elves multiple times. Little Lolita Seating had experienced the same. Just a moment ago, she was playing with several newly born dark elves. So, they were not surprised that the dark elf mother tree could give birth to elves in this special way, different from other elf mother trees. What surprised them was why the dark elf mother tree could give birth to elves with divine and radiant attributes. The alignment attributes were completely mismatched. It must be related to the great Lord of Holy Light. The Lord of Holy Light is the supreme being, omniscient and omnipotent. It is normal for any strange things to happen in his domain. These are the thoughts in the mind of Radiant Saintess Tiffany. As for little Lolita Seating, she didn't think too much. She quickly shifted her attention to Lin Yu and happily massaged her sleeping master's shoulders. In the capital of the Giant Kingdom, a massive mountain giant flew into the sky. He was a powerful figure in the Giant Kingdom, with the rank of Saint rank late stage. Looking at the enormous cannons emitting dazzling light on the walls of the City of Angels, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. He had seen this kind of magical cannon before, but the ones mounted on the City of Angels were the first he had ever seen. Truly a legendary weapon. Any of these magical cannons would make me tremble, as if once hit, even as a Saint rank powerhouse, I would be instantly annihilated. Comparing them, the magical cannons of the Giant Kingdom did not have such terrifying power. The most powerful magical cannon they had could only threaten a newly promoted Saint rank professional. Advertisement. However, he didn't know. In front of him was only a small-scale City of Angels, and its military power had not reached its peak. Controlling this small-scale City of Angels was only an incomplete consciousness of the 12-winged throne angel Vivian. If her true form descended, the magical cannons of the City of Angels would easily be able to kill demigods, and the strongest attack could even slay the so-called immortal true gods. In this regard, the information recorded in the ancient books of the Giant Kingdom was indeed correct. Stop! The Saint rank mountain giant roared at the high-ranking archangels standing on the walls of the City of Angels. This is the capital of our mountain giant clan. You have intruded without permission. Do you want to provoke? Suddenly, his roar came to a halt. Because he sensed that a magical cannon was aimed at him, he immediately changed his tone and said, "The sacred angel clan. Everything can be negotiated. Our kingdom's king is also very willing to sit down with your legion commander for peaceful talks." However, the response he received was a brilliant beam of light. With a loud bang, the beam of light tore through space and directly struck him. This Saint rank mountain giant was scared out of his wits. Without hesitation, he fled, not daring to withstand the bombardment from the City of Angels even with his domain. Even though he was powerful and quick to react, he narrowly avoided being hit by the beam of light. If he had been a little slower, he would have been struck by the beam. These angels are overbearing and unreasonable. There is simply no way to negotiate with them. Without saying another word, the Saint rank mountain giant retreated to the capital. At the same time, more magical cannons fired. Brilliant beams of light shot straight towards the capital of the mountain giants. Boom, boom, boom. Accompanied by the intense bombardment, all the beams of light struck the magical defense shield of the giant capital, causing the shield to tremble incessantly, with endless sparks splattering. Counterattack? Give me a counterattack? The elder holding a withered wooden staff stood on the city wall of the giant capital and roared, "Activate all the magical cannons, bombard the City of Angels. Let those angels know that our mountain giant clan is not to be trifled with." "Yes, elder." Soon, the magical cannons of the giant capital also fired in unison. thousands of magical cannons simultaneously bombarded the city of angels suspended in the clouds. Compared to this city of angels, the number of magic cannons in the giant kingdom's capital is greater. There are at least 3,000 of them. They can be seen everywhere, on the city walls and inside the city. This is because the giant kingdom has brought out all of its stock. Under the control of the mountain giants, the magic cannons continuously bombard the sky above the city of angels. Except for a few misses, the majority of the magic cannons hit accurately. However, although the hit rate is high, the destructive power is lacking. They can't break through the defense of the city of angels at all. It can be seen that the city of angels is also covered by a radiant shield, and countless angelic runes are engraved on the walls, exclusive to the angelic race. The main purpose of these runes is to enhance the defense of the city of angels. At present, the defensive power of the city of angels has not reached its peak, because it has not received the amplification of the true power of the 12-winged throne angel La Vivian. However, withstanding the bombardment of the giant kingdom's magic cannons is not a problem at all. After several rounds of bombardment, the giant kingdom has consumed a large amount of magic cores, but it has not caused any substantial damage to the city of angels floating in the sky. Not even a single brick has been shattered. On the other hand, the magic cannon attacks from the city of angels have dealt a huge blow to the defense of the giant kingdom. The thick city walls have been blasted with one huge pit after another. The bricks made with magical materials are as fragile as tofu under the bombardment of the city of angels, almost collapsing after 2 rounds of bombardment. The magic defense shield enveloping the giant kingdom has also been severely damaged. Cracks like spider webs have appeared on the surface, and the core elemental magic runes are crumbling one after another. This is because the attacking power is too strong, exceeding the limits that these elemental magic runes can bear, causing them to crumble. And this also means that the magic defense shield enveloping the giant kingdom cannot last for too long. Maybe after 2 more rounds of bombardment, it will collapse on the spot. The mountain giants inside the city have also noticed the almost collapsing magic defense shield, and they all became nervous. Your Majesty, the attack from the city of angels is too strong. Our defense shield won't hold for long. Above the central temple, thousands of huge figures stood tall. Leading them was King Vaughn, who had reached the demigod realm, and the great prophet. Behind them were nearly 100 high-ranking officials of the kingdom and saint-rank powerhouses. And further behind were thousands of mountain giants in the transcendent realm. Just by looking at this lineup, one could tell how powerful the war strength of the mountain giant kingdom was, something that overlord-class professionals at the current stage couldn't challenge at all. Even if they were given another year to develop, it would be almost impossible to conquer such a force. Only Lin Yu, who didn't follow the rules, could do it. Not only did he summon a massive army of angels, he even brought out the city of angels. Perhaps, even the world rules of the floating island didn't expect Lin Yu's territorial power to grow so fast. After all, if it knew everything, the interdimensional teleportation array wouldn't have been broken by it. Advertisement. King Vaughn looked up at the white giant city floating in the sky. It could be seen that it was constantly being hit by numerous beams of magic cannons. However, this white giant city was like an indestructible divine city. The kingdom's magic cannons couldn't cause any damage to it. They couldn't even shake it. This made him, a demigod powerhouse, feel a sense of powerlessness and despair. How much longer until the warriors from the various cities and tribes can reach the capital? Report to your majesty. The elder said, the fastest legions will take at least half an hour, and then we will receive support from about 50,000 elite soldiers. The follow-up forces of hundreds of thousands will arrive one after another within 3 hours. 3 hours? Whether the capital will still exist after 3 hours is a question. Spread the order. Prepare for battle. The great Titan True God witnesses our glory. Even if we die on the battlefield, the Titan True God will still protect us. As he spoke, King Vaughn cast his gaze on the Titan statue backing the Forbidden Land. It was hundreds of meters tall, standing tall and majestic. It was the largest statue in the mountain giant kingdom. It also carried the faith of the mountain giants in the Titan true God. Our ancestors have always been watching us. Upon hearing these words, the elder, along with the high-ranking officials and powerhouses present, trembled. The panic in their expressions and eyes quickly dissipated. Every single one of them became filled with fighting spirit and a soaring killing intent. Yes, the Titans' ancestors watched over them. They had no reason to retreat, nor any reason to bow their heads to the angelic race. That would be a blasphemy against the glory of the Titans. Soon, King Von's words spread throughout the entire capital. Tens of thousands of mountain giants within the city were all filled with high morale and boiling fighting spirit. All the mountain giants had already mentally prepared themselves for the coexistence or annihilation of the capital. Boom, 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 boom. The roar of the magic cannons shook the heavens and the earth. Monsters and demons within a radius of 100 kilometers in the wilderness were all scared away. They also sensed the aura of war and death. They dared not stay in one place. The magic cannons of Giant King's capital and City of Angels continued to bombard each other, but the damage caused was vastly different. The walls of Giant King's capital were almost turned into honeycombs. In some places, they had even been pierced through. On the other hand, the floating City of Angels in the sky remained unscathed. It could be said that, with abundant energy, even a small-scale City of Angels would be almost invincible in this world. No force could destroy it. Finally, another round of bombardment passed. The magic defense shield enveloping Giant King's capital collapsed. The eastern wall, which was being focused on, seemed to have been affected as well, collapsing into a pile of giant stone ruins. Finally, a face-to-face decisive battle? I have slain dragons, killed balrogs, and torn apart sea monsters, but I have never fought against the legendary angels. If I die in battle, it will be worth it. Advertisement. King Von took out 2 giant hammers from his spatial equipment, staring fiercely at the City of Angels floating in the sky. He could sense that a large number of angels were gathered inside the city, and there was even one at the level of a demigod. My opponent is her, King Von thought. On the walls of City of Angels, 8-winged Dominion Angel, Catherine, respectfully said, Lady Angelia, the enemy's shield has been destroyed. Should we immediately send the angelic army to attack? No need, Secretary, and looked down at the highly motivated army of mountain giants within the capital, her expression indifferent. Continue the bombardment, destroy the will of those mountain giants. It will be easier to spread our faith later. Yes, my lady. Catherine waved her staff. Immediately, the thunderous sound of cannons rang out once again. A dense and dazzling beam of light shot straight into the capital city. In an instant, there were dense explosion areas appearing within the city, and the damage caused by each beam reached several hundred meters. Mushroom clouds rose one after another. Everything within these explosion areas, including buildings, streets, and mountain giants, all disappeared and were annihilated by the terrifying power. Just one round of bombardment caused immense casualties and damage to the capital city. One beam even hit the towering Titan statue. The head of the statue was directly blown off. Seeing this scene, the mountain giants in the city, including King Von, the great prophet, and the high-ranking officials of the kingdom, as well as the saint-rank powerhouses, all stood still in shock. The Titan statue represented their belief in the Titan true God. Now, the statue was destroyed. Their firm beliefs seemed to have been severely shaken, and they all fell into a state of confusion and despair. Just at this moment, all the mountain giants witnessed a scene that shattered their beliefs. Within the headless statue, there was a huge white sphere slowly flying out. A mountain giant exclaimed, "That is the power of faith that we offer to the Titan true God. How can there be so much? Could it be that over the years, the great Titan true God has never accepted our faith? Could the legends be true? This world is a forsaken place by the gods. Have all the races in the world been abandoned by the gods?" These words reverberated throughout the entire capital city and shook the inner world of all the mountain giants. They couldn't believe it. The Titans, whom their tribes had unwaveringly believed in for so many years, had never paid attention to them. They even regarded the power of their faith, which they worshipped, as worthless. This was a huge blow to their beliefs. However, the blow did not end there. Under the gaze of countless mountain giants, the massive ball of light quickly flew out of the capital city and headed towards the city of angels floating in the distant sky. In the end, it was caught by an elegant and noble, beautiful angel. Take it back and purify it. It will be helpful for our Lord's ascension to godhood. Saying that, Secretary and put the ball of light, which carried the accumulated power of faith from countless ages in the giant kingdom, into the Skull King's belt. The power of faith from different gods has different attributes. To absorb the power of faith from other gods, it needs to be processed through special means. Moreover, stealing the power of faith from other gods is a grave taboo. This is a declaration of war, and one that will not end until death. However, Secretarian didn't care. The angelic race is not afraid of those thunderous titans.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.